Hello friends, welcome to episode 135. I'm Kathy Rotes, and today we're going to think differently about our habits and our systems and our thoughts and how it all comes together in our daily life. A habit is something that is oftentimes an unconscious behavior, and it's just recurring. I mean, we've done it so much that we don't have to think about it anymore. Kind of like driving to work or driving to a certain location in your city or driving home from something. You don't have to think about how to get there, you just know. And many times you don't even think while you're doing it. It just happens successfully. Well, when it's time to step up your habit game a little bit, there are more fun tools to use to increase your habits or to really be intentional about your habits. So James Clear has written a book called Atomic Habits. If you haven't read this book, definitely get it on your to-read list or listen to or whatever you need to do. Great actionable book. But in the book, he talks about something a little different, and he calls it habit stacking. And really, that's all you need to say, and that's exactly how it's defined. When you think about a habit that you already have in place, you want to stack something else on top of it to make it a better habit. To be better at whatever it is you're trying to grow at. So here in the book, I'll just read some of the examples that he has written. When you see a set of stairs, take the stairs instead of the elevator or escalator. Just a habit. You don't need to think about it. You just see stairs next to the escalator, you walk the stairs. Or how about this one? When you go to a networking event or a party, introduce yourself to somebody that you don't know right away. If you want to be more social, if you want to connect with more people, do it right away. You arrive at the party, you find somebody you don't yet know, introduce yourself. When you want to buy something that's over $100, wait 24 hours before purchasing it. That's stacking on top of a habit. How about this one? When you serve yourself a meal, always put vegetables on your plate first. Well, then there's less room for dessert. I guess that might be the mission here. When the phone rings, smile when you answer. And this last one that he listed, I love this. When you're in a public place, before you leave the table, turn around and check to make sure everyone has their jacket and their wallet and their leftovers. That's habit stacking. You're going to leave the table, you're going to leave the restaurant, so make one last habit of turning around and seeing that everything is being taken with you. I have a habit that I just realized here recently while I've been preparing for this content. I have a habit of when I fill my water bottle at the refrigerator, I also do my calf raises. So I get my exercise in while I'm filling my water. And I have a few more exercises that have been added, more for balance, to strengthen those little muscles in your ankles. So now I need a bigger water jug so that I have more time to do these exercises. But it's just habit. I fill up, and I fill up at airports now, and I'm doing my calf raises. That's habit stacking. And habit stacking is very powerful when you want to be adding something to your already powerful routine. Now, there's not only habit stacking, but there's habit stacking and stacking. So think about when you turn on your computer in the morning, or when you turn on your computer when you're at your desk. What is the next thing that you do once the computer is fully booted up and you're logged in? What do you open? What do you do next? Now, I've talked to many people, and something they do, they push the power button and then they go make their coffee. They push the power button and then they go fill their water bottle. But what about once you push the power button, log in? What do you do then? Well, at that point, many people open email or chat. And then what do? Well, after you see the disruption of emails and chat messages, then they'll finally get to their projects. The problem is email and chat is a distraction. And many times, the time it takes from booting up your computer to working on a project, it could be an hour or longer. And that's where this becomes a challenge. Instead of stacking your habits in a way that cause more stress, reverse it. Stack your projects in a way that says, as soon as I boot my computer up, I don't open email and chat. I go right into a project. I go right into a major project that I've been procrastinating on. I get that done before I open my email and my chat. And actually, when you reverse this process a little bit, what you're doing is a habit stacking with a reward process. So you're habit stacking. I turn my computer on and log in. I go right into a project. Then I go open my email and my chat. The reward is opening the email and the chat because it is such a distractor. There might be more projects in there. There might be questions. There might be fun stuff within your email or your chat app. That is the reward once you get a project done. Now, what are other possible rewards that we could give ourselves? Well, it could be a healthy snack. It could be a walk of some sort, get your body moving. Many times I use my bathroom break as a reward. That sounds quite awful sometimes. But it's amazing what you can get done when you're scrunched for time, when you have a little urgency happening. It's amazing how much I can get done when I use that as my reward. Other rewards are things like, pull out the phone and do your scrolling or your TikTok video watching. And that's a fun reward. However, that one you got to be careful with because a lot of time can really take away your day when you get sucked into those types of rewards. Instead, though, think about healthy rewards or productive rewards. Another reward that is very productive is you can't work on a project that you want to work on until you get some of the other things done. Yesterday, I had a spreadsheet that was emailed to me, and I kind of get geeky when it comes to spreadsheets. I just like to quickly massage the data and create some formulas to manage the data. It's fun. It's fun for me. But I had some other work that was more time sensitive. So I used my spreadsheet as my reward. I could not work on my spreadsheet until I got these other 3 projects done. And it helped me stay focused on those other 3 projects because I wanted to get to my reward. I wanted to get to it. So, okay, let's think about something else within our lives. What do you do? What's your habit? What's your habit stacking possibly? Think about what do you do when you're bored? Or what do you do when you're uncomfortable? I think I know what the answer is here because I watch it all the time, everywhere that I go. What do you do when you're bored? You pull out your phone. What do you do when you're uncomfortable? You pull out your phone. I see it in airports. I see it on the tram or the train or the buses. I see it in waiting rooms. I see it even when you're amongst people that you love. The phone comes out. Now, granted, I know I want to check the weather, or I have to check my calendar, or I want to see this actress that I'm watching in a movie. What else has she been in? Or the phone is pretty powerful, but it's also a poor habit stacking that we have in place. Do you really want that distraction? At this point, when we start to realize maybe we've got an issue, now we need to habit stack in a very intentional way. Now we need to be purposeful on what do we really want to be doing here? Well, habits are systems. And in previous videos and podcast episodes, I've talked about 2 D words that I guarantee will bring you success in life. So if you haven't heard this yet, spoiler alert, I'll give them to you right here. Decision and discipline are your 2 D words that will bring you success in life. But when I write it out, when I write 2 D's on top of each other with an S on the bottom, the S does more than make this plural. It actually should be inserted between the 2 D's because it stands for systems. When we make a decision about something, we have to create a system because it's easier to stay disciplined to a system than a decision. Here's what I mean. I work out every day. I used to work out over my lunch hour. The fitness center that I used was 1 block from my office and it was free for my use. No excuses here, right? I put it in my calendar that at noon, I'm going to the gym. Well, you know what happened on rainy days or snowy and slushy and messy days or even sunshine days? Well, I would look out the window and think, ugh, I don't want to walk a block in this mess. Or I don't want to go to the gym. I want to just enjoy the sunshine. At that moment is not the time to make a new decision. I already made a decision. You're going to the gym at noon on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, period. When I have that system in place, I grab my gym bag and I just follow the system. I don't make a new decision at that moment. You see how it's easier to stay disciplined to the system? Well, our habits, whether we're habit stacking or habit stacking or habit stacking with a reward or just a habit, it's a system. It's a system that we have in place. And before any system, we have to make a decision. And those decisions, well, those come from thoughts that we have. Thoughts that we have help us create or understand or decide what systems to put in place. Well, the thought cycle is something that's been biologically proven is what's happening in our brain. Scientists, medical scientists, neuroscientists, all of these different experts have figured out how our brain works. It works in a clockwise motion. Our thoughts create our emotions, which creates our actions, which creates our results. And those results recreate other thoughts, or they reinforce the thoughts that we were having. But this is always a clockwise motion, okay? It always happens in this fashion. So even though I'm always going in a clockwise motion, I can work the cycle backwards a little bit. For example, if I don't get a result that I like, I could trace it all the way back to my thoughts. And sometimes I can't quite put a finger on my thought. I can't quite label my thought. But it seems like I can always label an emotion that I may have felt, a feeling that I had. So if I don't like the result of something, let's go back to those feelings and those thoughts. It's something that I was thinking and feeling that caused me to get the result that I didn't want. Here's an example. Back in college, I graduated with an accounting degree. And right after college, I took 9 months to study, and then I sat for the CPA exam, the Certified Public Accountant's exam. Well, back then, you had to take all 4 sections of the test at one time, like over 2 days. In the morning was one section, the afternoon was another, and then the second day you finished off with the last 2 sections. The last section of my tests was the tax topic. That's a pretty big topic, and that's pretty exhausting. And that's pretty hard. I remember sitting there looking at these questions. It was all done by hand. Okay, so I was filling in the little circles. I was reading. I had scratch paper. Oh, I remember looking at these problems thinking, I don't have a clue. I have no idea what these answers are. Well, okay, fast forward. I failed miserably. All 4 sections failed, not even close to passing. They were so bad. The scores were so bad. Well, if I didn't like the results, I can trace it all the way back to my thoughts. What have I been thinking the last 9 months? Oh, I hope I can waste 9 months of my time and money and fail? Well, no, I wasn't thinking that. But here's what was going on. I had a 6-month-old. I had a husband. They would play outside during the nice, beautiful summer days while I sat and studied at the kitchen table. I had a study group, but 2 out of the 3 of us backed out within like 6 weeks of starting our study group. I was really exhausted from school, from getting my degree. I was exhausted. I was kind of grumpy about studying. I was annoyed. Do you see where my thoughts and my emotions were? Right? The thought and the emotions that was happening, that's what helped me fail. Well, and then let's even look at the actions. I mean, when it came to that tax portion of the test, and I had no clue, I started making designs out of the little dots that I was filling in. You can make a Christmas tree. Yeah, that was, even my actions, you can see how they were leading me right to a failed score. See how the thought cycle works? So let's talk about some of those results. Many times we call these goals. We have goals in life. It might be something like, hey, I want to complete 3 projects today, or I want to talk to 5 people, or I want to just do one thing today. Or maybe it's a bigger goal like I want to run a marathon. Whatever your goal is, many times we like to share our goal with our friends, right? Well, what's the first thing that people ask you when you do share your goal? Many times it's an incorrect question. Many times people will ask, well, what do you need to do to reach that goal? Do is an action word. So when you're sharing your goal or your result, your brain is following that thought cycle in clockwise motion. And the next thing it goes to is a thought, and then an emotion before the action. So when they ask, what do? You have to quickly think and have an emotion and come up with an answer. But it's not necessarily the right answer. Maybe a better question to ask or to be asked is, who do you need to be to reach that goal? So what does that look like? I mean, if somebody asks me, what do you need to do to run a marathon? Well, I need to train, I need to get new shoes, I need to sign up for the marathon. I mean, there's a lot of tasks to do, right? It kind of exhausts me just thinking about it, to be honest. But if somebody were to ask me, who do you need to be a marathon runner? Well, I need to be healthy, I need to be strong, I need to be consistent in my workout routine, in my training. I need to be a conqueror, someone who wants to conquer this challenge. Once you figure out who you need to be, how will that make you feel when you do run your marathon? Or how will that make you feel when you do the steps toward running the marathon? Oh my gosh, well for me, I think it'll make me feel empowered. It'll make me feel excited to do my workout every day because I know that I'm on track. I know that I'm doing the right thing to get where I want to go. Well, then there's the idea of actually running the marathon, right? And how you feel afterwards. But then, who do you want to be after you run the marathon? Isn't that an interesting question? Who do you want to be after you reach your goal? Well, give me ice cream, please, because I've been avoiding that for 6 months. Yeah, but I don't want to be a lazy slob, right? I still want to be healthy. I still want to be fit. I still want to be consistent with my workout routine. I still want to conquer a challenge. But think about busy times of your life. Whether you're a tax accountant who is in the middle of tax season right now, whether you're a school teacher who's trying to figure out how to wrap up the school year, whatever your busy time of life is, who do you want to be when that busy time is over? My guess is it's the same person you are right now while you're in it. But how often are we really who we want to be when the busy time is over? I know when I used to work for an accounting firm, and I used to work with many accountants, there was a huge decline in productivity once the tax season was over. Well, it makes sense, right? Because people are now not going to work 80 hours a week. They're going to work only 40 hours a week, or they're going to take vacation and days off. But that momentum and that energy level, it just crashes to the ground. And many times it takes 3 or 4 months to climb back out and get ready for the next tax season. Does that sound familiar? Is that what you do? Is that what you want to do? Is that who you want to be? Wherever you are in the busyness of life, wherever you are with the crazy schedules that you have, answer yourself this question: who do you want to be? And are you being that? And then take it a step further and figure out, who do you want to be when the busy time is over? Now, that thought cycle, Our thoughts create our emotions, create our actions, creates our result. The two D words plus S for system, they connect right into the thought cycle. When we make a decision, that's right up there with while we're thinking. When we think, that's when decisions start to come out. And the habits or the systems that we decide to put into place, well, those are our actions. And then there's discipline. There's discipline to connect with our systems, to do our systems, discipline in our thoughts, discipline in how we think. So let's go back to that habit that you might have when you're bored or when you're uncomfortable. What's your decision going to be? Who do you want to be when you're bored? Who do you want to be when you're uncomfortable? Do you want to be the quiet person who does not look at anybody or talk to anybody? Do you want to be the rude person who never even talks to your friends and family who are in the room with you? Do you want to be addicted? Do you want to get that dopamine fix and be addicted to whatever's on your phone? That's okay. If you do, there might be a reason for it, right? Or do you want to stretch yourself a little bit? I'll never forget, when my kids were younger, it was not the cell phone that they had in their hands, it was the game system. And we were at a restaurant one night, and my son forgot his game system in the car. So he asked to go get it, and I said, oh no, we're going to get a table real quickly. Let's just stay put. Well, the table took like 90 minutes. And I think he asked 2 or 3 times, and I said, no, it's almost ready. Well, when we sat down for dinner, my brother said to me, wow, I've never talked to Jake like I did tonight. We had an amazing conversation. It was so enjoyable to get to know him. You know, you never know. By adjusting your habits, maybe habit stacking in an intentional way, maybe thinking differently and creating a new decision, you never know what blessing and value will come of it. So I challenge you to think about who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in all aspects of your life? And intentionally create those systems or those habits so that you really get the result that you want. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week with another new topic of Thinking Differently.